Hello, chat room. Mr. Bark, don't tell me you know the words chat room now. Hello. Hello, every Hammie. I hope everyone is doing, every Hammie even is having a great Tuesday. Cozy Tuesday, even. He knows us. He does. He knows chat. Chat will give him attention and snacks. So, oh, he's bringing you his pig ear. He's showing it to you. You better act amazed. Oh no.
Hamster.
Hold on, I gotta make sure I bring back the fishing here. Did I forget? There we go. I need to move it around. Here we go. I'll just make it tinier. Make it tinier for now. There we go. Now it looks like a scary harvest moon. Anyway, before I get distracted with more stuff, let me say hello. Let me say hello. Where do I get started with that? Where do I get started with saying hello? I remember. Hi, Angry Seal. Hi, Johnny. Hi, Malice. Now. Hi, Super Manager. Hello. Blackberry. Hello, Crow. Hello, Chica. I think I got every Hammie. I think I got every Hammie in chat. Malisimoto. Maois-chan. Anyway, hi. Hello. I'm doing okay. My neighbors were working on their house. They had guys over working at their house at like fucking 7 a.m. this morning, and I'm really tired. I'm so tired. I didn't sleep very good. Well, because I fell asleep at like, what did I fall asleep at? Like 1 a.m.? And so 5 hours later, I woke up and I was like, God damn it. You're a little tired. Better get rolling now. No! I don't know why I got that defensive. I need to drink a lot of water though. I need to drink a lot of water. Anyway, I spent most of my day trying to remember how to set up the HamCam. So I'm really hoping that it works out. It's gonna be a little not great, but you know, it's okay. The pun was too aggressive. Thank you, Tired Mulla Mulla, for the lurk. Make sure you get extra cozy comfy. The pun was too aggressive, I suppose. No, I think I just had an aggressive response. Which was truly not my intention, however. I think I've just been one of those days where it's like, I'll come after you. Whenever you're not running, Hammie's getting closer. Anyway, yeah, just like that, just like that, just like that. Hammie going aggro? No. Yes. No, I've been a little crabby today. I'm trying really hard not to appear crabby. But if I get crabby, you guys can be like, Hammie, you're being kind of crabby. Can you shut the hell up? And I'll be like, oh, damn. I guess I'll be better. I'll do better. Anyway, hi. Hello. I hope you guys have had a wonderful... Wait, what? Goofy Rodent, I suppose hamsters are known to bite you if you poke your fingers in their cages. Yeah, when they're trying to sleep. If my neighbor had gotten close to my enclosure this morning, I would have probably bit him because he woke me up. More explosions? You want more? I can only do it every 6 seconds. I can only do it every 6 seconds or I'll break that too. Oh, is a tangent. Look at that loaf. He is loafing pretty good. He's loafing a lot. I should make more use of this button that makes him a lot bigger. Look at him. He's really cute, isn't he? I like him a lot. He's been kind of low energy today too because it's been really rainy and dreary. Like, I feel like I blinked today and suddenly it was time to stream and I definitely wasn't really ready for it, but here we are. So tonight we're gonna build some nano blocks. I'm really excited. I've got the vampire one. I guess I should go over and show you guys actually what I have. But thank you for the head pats. Oops, it's covering up the fishing, but that's okay. Oh, can you show the gift Kai gave you? Kai gave me a gift? Did he give you any context for that? earlier this year, Kai gave me a lot of gifts. Oh yeah, it's a 3DS. Give me a quick second. I'll have to go downstairs and grab it. Really quick. It takes me a minute to get downstairs and upstairs, but I can go grab it really quick. Yeah. 1 second. I'm gonna put my BRB screen. Or if I get up to walk around and stretch my legs in a bit, I'll go grab it. Does that sound okay? I'll show you the DS. It's really adorable. Because at some point I'll probably want to get up and walk around anyway. So at some point you will see it. I'll show it to you. I promise. But today's a good day to show it to you, definitely, because we got the HamCam. And I gotta do a stream where I show you guys my horrible, unorganized mess of a tea pantry. But I still don't know how I'm gonna do that. I have to get like a GoPro or something. Anyway. Oh god, let me not regret. So yeah, here we have HamCam set up today. Hopefully it's okay. You can see it a little bit. My nails are busted. Tell me they're pretty and don't comment on how scuffed they look because I broke, I really messed up my thumbnails. Hi, the right words. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Tuned in to tell you that. That's very kind of you. Thank you. I'm glad you think so. Cause I feel real messy. Oh, but yeah, no, my nails are really busted right now. You can't really see them, but these thumbnails are a color. I was saying nice nails right when you said that. Yay! Cause I think these are fine, but I had to quickly like patch these up really fast, so they're kind of scuffed looking, but we'll be okay. And I got my little scrunchie today because I thought that would be kind of fun. Anyway, hi. Again for the fourth time. Oh, you guys are sweet. Oh, big stretch. Gotta put some ice on your throne. Ooh. I should, man, I would feel kind of bratty if I did that. I was like, oh man, I could put my, get Hammie's nails fixed on the throne, but like a diamond, get some bling. I need some new nails. I needed to get Halloween nails, but I just, life comes at you fast, and I have really tiny legs. I have a get my nails done, or get my nails done on my throne. That's smart. Maybe I should do that too. Hampter nails did. Yeah! Because when I have my nails did, I feel myself, and I want to do more HamCam streams. And you know, I was like, you're gonna laugh at me. There was a set of nanoblocks I really wanted to do for a stream, and Amazon had a damaged box deal on a whole set of Hamtaro. The Hamtaro nanoblocks, which there's a full set. There's Hamtaro, Bijou, Oxnard, Boss, Penelope and Pashmina. So there were all 6 of those, and they only cost $20. And I was like, damn, okay, I get payout tomorrow. I'm gonna get it. So I got it, and now I have like so many HamCam streams planned. And I still have to make my legally distinct Final Fantasy RPG Daiso monsters at some point because I hadn't done those either. So, we'll probably, oh, Mr. Bark is itching. It's really cute. No, go back. Anyway, but yeah, I've got a bunch of, stuff. I bet you can't do this on HamCam. Wait, hold on. Gets banned in 5 seconds. Yeah, aggro. Oh, Mr. Bark, are you trying to show chat your toys? Shyest flip-off no to man? Dang! I also have really bad hand-eye coordination, so I'm actually really terrible at trying to do the middle finger. It's pretty awesome. Hi, Mr. Bark. Hi, Mr. Bark. He wants attention. You want attention? Does chat need to give you a treat? Mr. Bark says, chat, spend your channel points on giving me treats. I mean, I didn't say it, he did. You probably heard him. Anyway, let me show you what I'm putting together today. Sorry, Bark, I already spit on my points. I got Mr. Vampire here. He's really cute. Directions. I think he's adorable. Tell Mr. Bark I'm saving for a Puyo hand. Dude, you guys can't offer him your 10k in channel points, and I'm gonna have to do it out of the goodness of my heart because look how excited he is. You're gonna let him down? Oh my goodness, Mr. Bark, it's okay, buddy. Yes, Mr. Owen and coming in with the Mr. Bark treat. So Mr. Bark obviously gets 2 now. Mr. Bark, can you spin? Can you spin? No, you can't spin, but you're a good boy. They're low calorie, so it's okay that I give him mini. He can have them. He's so happy. Do you think Mina knows that vampire? Like, maybe they see each other at family reunions? Maybe they're cousins like me and Mina are cousins. Man, Mina's family's probably big. I wish I could make Mr. Bark do a spin. Sometimes he'll do the spin on his own, but he's not trained to do it or anything. He just knows sit and be and then bark. He knows if I tell him to speak. I'm not gonna tell him to speak right now, but because he's really loud, and you guys know how loud he gets. But yeah, I've got this, and then I have one of these Daiso bricks if I'm still feeling pretty good afterwards. I'll make this hamster I got from Daiso. But then my parents' dog spins when he's excited for a walk. It's so cute. That sounds really cute. Oh. I also thought I'd microdose myself Pokemon cards, so I got out some Trick or Trade 2022. Yeah, 2022. So we can open those in a bit. See you in a bit. Have fun, Hamela. Thank you. So yeah, I figured after we put together the vampire, if I don't feel like, in the chance that I don't feel like putting together another brick model kit thing tonight, we could play Rika Furude Simulator, and if I win, if I create a miracle, then I'll let myself open more Trick or Trade packs. But I wanted to play it. I thought it would be kind of fun to play on stream, but not enough so that you can make an entire stream out of it, I guess. So we'll see. Hammie, would a grouchy old Japanese crone called you Hameka? Maybe. I don't know if I would want someone who's grouchy to refer to me at all. I'm scared. But maybe. Anyway, I was gonna ask you, chat, I could put on my rock playlist, or I could put on silly, spooky Halloween music. Which, I mean, I'm fine either way, but I figured I'd ask chat what you thought. But I'm gonna move Lurk Bait a little bit, because I don't like where it's at. That'll work. I'll just put on this in the meantime. So yeah, this will be less prone to getting copyright hit if I forget to upload the right one to YouTube. Probably. But yeah, no, I'm excited. We'll listen to some spooky, scary ambiance and put together this vampire that is also Mina's cousin. I'm pretty excited. I've been looking forward to putting together a Nanoblock. It's been a minute. Although they do hurt my fingers if I get them stuck wrong. But I saw this guy because I was looking up really cute Halloween themed ones, and I was like, I have a Godzilla one, but the Godzilla one is kind of intricate, so he'd probably take a while. And I don't know if I really want to like commit to that until I get used to putting them together again. Mr. Bark, what are you doing? You got the zoomies? What are you doing? But yeah, no, he's really cute, and so I'm really stoked. What are you doing? What'd you find? Are you eating a crumb off the ground? I thought I swept today. What did you find? Sorry, he's kind of crazy. Hi, Hammie, I'm eating pumpkin pie. That sounds delicious. Hi, Ruff. Hi, Ruff's apple pie that I want a bite of. Because I love pumpkin pie. Let's see. Oh, he doesn't look too bad at all. I'm always really slow at these, so, yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll take my scrunchie off. Let's see. So, what do we got here? What do we got here? And if the music is too... Wait, hold on. I should probably... There we go. Now there's actual music. I remember to unmute it this time. Oh, man. You got a fish fillet burger? That's incredible. We'll do this for now. So let's see. Where do I even get started? Is it these? Yeah, it's these. Remember when I was a little kid, I completely confounded the words vampire, empire, and umpire? That's really funny. Here, I'll put all these in the cloud organizer. Oh, thank you so much, Sinisters, for the follow. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Bahamidiza. Hello. I hope you're doing well. What a cute emote. Oh, it's Hamtaro. I like him. Let's see. Okay. So, let's see if I can get this right. And I need to not do all of this off camera like I usually have a bad habit of doing. Let's see. So we need a tour. Hamtaro Game Boy Game Stream win. I should! I haven't ever finished any of them. I downloaded the HamCam games, so I should do it at some point, because Ref suggested it, but I had such a long summer that I didn't really get to play as much as I wanted to, and I didn't make as much progress as I hoped to, so hopefully we can get some more done here. Where's the one I'm looking for, though? I'm looking for a tour. Hold on, I gotta get close and look. There it is. Is there only one? There's only 2 of these. No, at least one of them was developed by the Mario and Luigi devs. I think it might be the HamCam games, because, at least, I don't know for sure, but I feel like that one kind of looks like a similar style. A similar flavor, even. So we need a 4 horizontal black one, and then we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is 6. 8. Getting started is always the hardest part, I think. And I got my tweezers here. Pretty sure Shigeru Miyamoto was involved with HamCam Heartbreak somehow. Ooh. I mean, that one is a classic. That one is a classic. So I wouldn't be surprised. And we need a 4. That one's not what I wanted at all. Sorry, a lot of these are gonna be me just going through all these little black pieces and having a hard time because I can't see them. I should be wearing my glasses IRL, but country hamsters, we make do. Miyamoto is secretly a very horny man. Is he? That wouldn't surprise me a whole lot, but do I need to get something from out of here, perhaps? A 4-piece. I swear, somewhere around here is exactly what I'm looking for, but I might just steal it from this one. Sorry, chat. I'm so slow. He was the one who pushed for Ocarina of Time to have a bunch of girls. Oh damn, there are a lot of girls in that game. You're absolutely right. So we got you. Hold on, it's gonna be a lot easier if I just do this. This first row is always kind of the biggest pain in the butt, but... Thank you for the sticky note! I just realized I'm kind of covering up chat a little bit. If it ends up being annoying though, let me know, okay? So we need a square one. Square one. Do I have those in here? Maybe I don't. Cloud, you're supposed to be helping me, not whatever this is. Here's a square one. Hammy, did you ever finish Somnium Files on stream? I didn't finish it before October. I'm gonna finish it in November. I feel really bad about that, but Somnium Files is when my legs started really getting bad over the summer, so I stopped playing it, and then I tried to get through a lot of the games that I had going too, like Katamari and stuff, and then I just didn't finish Somnium Files yet, and I need to, because I love that game. It's so good. You ended up finishing it though, Ref, didn't you? Is there a 3-er? Oh god. Oh no. I dropped a piece. I did. Now I can sit in your streams. Yay! Did you enjoy it? I hope you enjoyed it. Let's see. We need a 3-er. And it goes here? It's so hard to see on the camera because the pieces are black. Let's see. I got so excited the other day when I saw you were playing Paranormicite. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Will you be playing the other games?
Pissman445 tipped $1 practicing the dark arts of shitting ourselves. Hello Super Domination Nation Manager, how are you doing my sugar plum? And hello to you belligerent fool squabbling ref. We all come together to form coherent sentences. Hi Malice, please own up to her name.
Be nice to Ref. Hi Pissman, welcome, welcome. Let's see. Thinking. Probably not on stream, but I picked up Nirvana Initiative the last Steam sale. Hell yeah! I really liked Nirvana Initiative quite a bit. So I might have to get really close to these. Oh! Hi Hippie! Welcome! Thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate it. Panda Express is ass. I'm sorry. You're allowed to think that. I haven't had Panda Express for a while. Airport Panda Express? Wasn't that, in the newest season of Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal, the first arc of that show had an Airport Panda Express in it. And that has me thinking about that now. Let's see. I'm gonna look really close at these instructions and probably move these over here. Let's see. So from here we need a 4-parter. I think I'm just gonna have to dump this bad boy out here and hope I don't just drop it all. Man. There's already Mr. Barkhair in all this. Oh boy. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll put you here. And there's gotta be one here that has 4. You guys are funny. When I worked at the mall, we had this Greek place that gave me food poisoning once, and then we had Subway. From then on, I just ate Subway. Maybe I need one of you. I'll just take you. Become nothing. That's the spirit. That's the spirit. Ugh. Things we're doing tonight, chat. Our best. Oh wait, no, this had to be a... I see. There's more than one person named Miyamoto? Now I'm confused now. Did you see Chef Boyardee Nanobox? I did not. That sounds fun. I like this whimsical Halloween music. What's he doing? Can't hear it, I'm deaf in both of my eyes. Oh no. More like a Halloween. So we need a tour. This is too goofy. I don't think I can't do this. Too goofy. It's Halloween. This is Halloween. Oh no, Disney will actually kill me if I do that. Where are you? Where are you? We need a try. There you are. Yeah, you're so close. Error. Yuri is forever. Avril Lavigne and Chad Kroger. Doesn't Avril Lavigne just stay out of the limelight at this point? Hi, irregular. Welcome. Oh, this is not the one I meant to get. Are you guys working on anything either while you watch? Not that you have to, but I'm curious. No, hand stream but no feet stream. No, you don't get that. Stop it. I'm wearing my slippers. So you don't even get an accidental feet. My other audience? What do you mean by that? Oh, you started watch streaks? Did I? I've been meaning, I've been looking into maybe doing a loyalty punch card, but also I'm a little bit, that's a lot of work. But if it's something you guys do want, I can work on that. Let's see. So we need another red. Mr. Bart comes and knocks the table over? No, he's a good boy. Why would he do that? More points for your Puyo? Okay, I'll think about it. How would I think about it? Maybe I'll have time to look at it this weekend. I was thinking, chat, I know Saturdays usually are Pokemon Day, but I'm probably gonna get my flu vaccine and all of my, shots that day. My COVID and everything, so, I might feel like shit on Saturday. Hi, Sea Kissy! So that's gonna probably determine if I feel up to doing, Pokemon that night, or a gorilla stream. We'll see. We need a 3. 3. No, we need 6. Man, this looks... I'm trying to, like... Because it kind of, like, you can see how it's coming together already, but it's so dark. I can't get a good, like, view of it for you guys very well. Gorilla stream, Donkey Kong confirmed? Not quite. On Saturday, I was thinking maybe I'd play more Pokemon if I felt up to it. More Pokemon or more 100 line. We'll see. But also, it's very likely that the vaccines will kick my ass. And I won't be able to do much. But we'll see. There's that. So we've got... Maybe. This one's being kind of stubborn, actually. There we go. Anyone ever feel like a pompous 1890s Victorian era rich lady, or is that just me? I drink way too much Mountain Dew and eat too many spicy chips to be able to feel that way. As much as I love Sea Freaky, I like that a lot. I like that very much. I don't like that they tried to spread a rumor that you are the resident feet liker. That's crazy. Y'all are goofy sometimes. Sea Freaky? I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at Sea Freaky. I'm just laughing at what you said. I don't think that's the same level. Freak Nation? Do you guys want to change the name? Freak Nation or Creep Nation? I need a 1. I need a oneer. Let's see. Guys, I'm so excited to watch Scooby-Doo in the Discord next week. I'm not gonna lie, that's gonna be fun. Hamela Freakster. Go, my freaklings. Let's see. I need you. I'm making the vampire's feet now for what it's worth. I think we should be called God's hamster patrol of slaying. I like that too. No. Chat, don't forget, I got bum legs. You probably won't get a DDR stream out of me as much as I would love that. I would love to invest in an actual DDR pad. But also, guys, yeah, you're looking for Owen. Owen even wears the cute thigh highs. Let's see. And then now we've got you, Larry. Is this spooky scary? Yes, it is! It's spooky scary skeletons. Sorry, VOD gang. You will not be able to enjoy spooky scary skeletons. You do hear the music? I can turn it up if you want. Does that help a little bit? Think Hamela should chill for one stream? I'm chilling. Don't worry. I'm chilling. I don't want it to be so loud that it's hard to understand me, but you guys just let me know if I need to adjust anything, okay? I trust you with all of my sound issues. Let's see. And then from here, this is where I put you. Hammie is always chill and never crashes out ever. It's true. I can't. How nice of you to understand that I do not crash out. Ugh, I can't get this one in. Guys, we should watch some analog horror at some point. I would like to do that, actually. Hammie, crash outs are the best. I don't crash out. What are you talking about? I need you. I need you. Got all sorts of weird shapes now. My nails are too long for nanoblocks. Analog horror implies the existence of digital horror? I mean, I think that might be a thing, actually. I think that might be a thing. I'm really sad that I won't be able to stream for you guys on Halloween this year because we can't watch the new Local 51. So, we'll have to watch it when I get back. We'll have to watch it when I get back. Okay, I need a tour. Tour, I hardly know her. But yeah, last year we watched some analog horror while I ate my dinner, and that was kind of fun, actually. That was a lot of fun. And then I remember that day too because Research showed me the guy that eats the old, the really old tinned foods from the army and stuff, and I thought that was really fun. I'm not abandoning you on Halloween, I just want to go see my nieces. I haven't been and seen my family since before... I think the last time I saw my family was July 4th. Yeah, him! So I need one of these T blocks. Yeah, there we go. That's what I want. watch more of that guy. That would be really fun. We don't watch nearly enough YouTube together, chat. I was watching that video that Ref posted in the Discord, the one of the slug eating the spaghetti. The timer, the little timer, and the music was so intense it was good. No, not the Halloween roulette. No, don't do that. Let's see. So this will go here. Then we need a 3. Godly YouTube algorithm poll. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. So good. So you go here, and then we need another 2-1. Everything's sticking together now, so I don't have to use the mat necessarily. Yeah, we'll be okay now. We don't have to use the mat, so you guys can actually see what's going on. That, like, chat roulette? I don't know. I don't think so. Chat roulette was a godless place. Godless. So this time we need, actually I think I'm gonna, do I want to dump these out? This one, I need this one. This one. Sorry, this one's kind of stubborn. Give me a sec here if you can't see it. We need a 4 white one. Also, chat, we have a ad break coming up in about 3 minutes. 1, 2, 3 minutes. Where are my one-piecers? My reds. I think we gotta open these now. I mean, just because she graduated, you could still cosplay her, I bet. Hang in there. I think you should do it anyway to spite them. But that's just me. That's just me. Let's see. You go. I need you. Here. Nope. You know, I found many a cosplay piece at a thrift store. You don't always have to spend a bunch of money on a costume. Cosplay is the best currently working VTuber? Who's that? I want to know. Tell me. Oh my god, this one's gonna be a little bit. So we need another T piece. There you are. Are you stacked on here? That's bullshit. Mr. Bark, of course, that's right. Come on. Come on. I can't get them. There we go. Legally distinct from Lego? They're Nanoblocks. They're a whole different brand. And they're itty bitty compared to Lego. Let's see. So I need you to go here. Yeah, you go here. Mr. Bark is the best VTuber. What can I say? He has a heart of gold. You can put him on a pedestal. Just don't put me on one. You can add your own links and have people crowdfund. If you want. That's what I do with the stuff that isn't on Throne. It's easy. I want you. I need you. I feel like it's irresponsible, but I kind of want to put my pinned gift that I have on my Zatsu page. I kind of want to put the Pim plushie. I think it would be fun. I want it so bad. He's so goofy looking. Let's see. So we need a 6er. I think it goes here. 5'6" or 5'6" manager Ant-Man? Is he crawling into anyone's ass? Let's see. I need only if they ask nicely. Stop. I know, that's my own fault. I can't stop you guys. Be strong, Adgain, okay? Sorry, I'm stuck. Let me take a look here. I think I did this wrong. I might have done this wrong. Maybe? I think I figured it out. Give me a second, chat. I have to backtrack a tiny bit. Thank you for the head bats. Sorry, this always happens. Oh, I think I know what's happening. I think I know what's happening. This Thriller with Evil remix. Wahoo! There we go. You go here. And then we have Wurmst. You know what? Dump you out. Here, I'm gonna put all the weird colors in the cloud thingy for now. Hi, Aaron! Welcome, thank you! I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. Let's see. You go here. And then so do you. Hammie is dumping us? No, I'm not. Not you. Not you, chat. to Fall Out Boy chat? What if we switched it up midstream? I could organize all of these. That would take a lot of work. Has he put out any new songs lately? Nope, they've been touring. They've been touring, they just finished up, and now they're maybe gonna work on another album? I don't know. Patrick always has some sort of side quest. Does Fall Out Boy have any Halloweeny songs? Not that I know of. Not really. They have other holidays. Like there's Christmas song, 4th of July. There's also been this song off TikTok that I found that I can't stop listening to lately. And it's really hard to not hum it. Oh yeah, they did cover What's This, didn't they? A lot of bands covered a lot of Disney music. Back when, I don't know if Disney's ever been chill, but I feel like they used to be more chill. Yay, I love organizing. Yeah, we're gonna keep it up. I think we should organize more. Sorry, chat, it's a side quest, okay? Guys, is Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie? I know that there is a right answer to that, but I won't judge you. This is a soft place where we don't judge. Except maybe a tiny bit. Yes, yes, both. Yes. It's an All Saints Day movie. You guys are good at this. You guys are good at this. I need a one-piecer. Did I use them all on accident? Where are you? Where the hell are you? Oh, there you are. Thank goodness. I was getting scared. I was clenched up. I did do something weird, didn't I? So we need a three-piecer. Sorry, let me go redo this. Not too bad, though. At least we don't have to backtrack too far. Hi, False. I'm sorry about your legs. You're in good company, though. Hamster. Should make All Saints Day a public holiday so people can enjoy Halloween without having to go to work the next day. I agree. I think that's a great idea. Alright, so we're gonna put this here. There we go. And then we need you. Hold on. I think I'm gonna take the towel I had. I washed my hair right before stream, so my hair's really wet. And I needed the towel is, oh, I turned it a color. Whoops. Whoopsies. Okay, never mind. Forget what I said, chat. You didn't hear a thing. Let's see. I need you. And You. Yes, I do have wet fur. I do. So we need another one of these. Not you, though. You. I hope this is right. So we need you. This is another Spooky Scary Skeletons remix? Shit. You guys want to see it so far? It's coming along. We're making progress. Nope, not trusting like that. Keen Muggle Mug? This is, oh, you're right, this is, it does sound like this is, it does sound like this is Halloween. It's so good though, it's so catchy, it's gonna get stuck in my head. Good King Muggle Mug. We need a oneer. I hardly know her. Right here. There's that, and then we need you. P-Man. I like that name. It's a good name. Oh! I broke it off. Ah! Let's see if I can fix it. Yeah, we can fix it. 'Cause we're awesome. There we go, much better. And you go here. There we go. And so, oh, we're starting to build his face. I need to look at the picture again. Oh wait, no, yeah. You can kind of see. It's like the top of his tuxedo. Now we're gonna build his head. So what, no head? So let's see, we can bring these blue pieces in. Move some stuff around. Okay, so we need his tongue. What? Why did I get bonked? You have better not lucid? Huh? Oh, it's felt like a track from the Batman 89 score sounded suspiciously like the underwater theme from Super Mario Brothers. What do you mean, little maniac? I'm so confused. I'm just a girl. Hmm. Lucid's here. Hi, Lucid. Hi, Hammie. How's you? I'm doing pretty good. We're making a vampire. I'm having loads of fun. Oh, wait. This has to go out more. So I think it has to go like this. Yeah, it has to go like this. You sound crazy right now? I sound crazy? Or Piss Man? Because I think it might be Piss Man you're talking about. I think I need caffeine. Thanks, Hamela, for backing me up. You're welcome. Is Lucid in the room with us right now? Oh, this is gonna be his little collar thing. I'm so stoked. But where are the pieces for that? I'm nervous. Oh wait, here. This is what we want. So, oh! I'm just saying, I'm not the one who's saying crazy things. Going to the Lego? Spider-Verse level shit of going to the Lego universe? Godspeed! Show those Legos who's boss. Lego? You guys are crazy. I did know that! Patrick Stump has so many side quests. He's so cute. Nope. Oh, he's doing shit. He's like Barbie. He is. It's so funny. We love to see it. We love it. Oh, thank you so much for the follow, Tentengu. I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome. I need a 4-piecer. Yeah. And then... Sorry, let me look at these a little more closely. I think I see it. We need these 1-piecers. Never. I know what Rule 34 means. Uh-oh. I gotta take this one off. If you guys do it, though, let me know, okay? Let me know how it goes. If it was worth it. As your supreme hamster overlord, I have to be there to make sure you learn from your mistakes. Well, let's see. Okay. So we got the tongue now. He's freaky, chat. He's freaky. I like P... Wait. I don't know if I like P. Diggy, but I giggled. That's kind of foul, but... Californian Funky Con or Jamaican Funky Con? I didn't know there were difference. I didn't know there were multiple Funky Cons. Oh, wait. Is this how you work? Is this how you go? Hamela, what is your opinion on inflation? I'm broke, so... You aren't gonna get me with that one, just so you know. Oh wait, whoops. I'm doing this wrong. Let's fix it. Hold on, we can do the thing I know how to do. And then we'll move onward. Economical? That's what I said. I said I'm broke. I'm not a big fan. Because I'm broke. That's why you guys have to watch the ads. So Hammie can buy her video games. No, I know. I bought a burger from the store and cooked it today, and it was delicious, but also I felt a little bad. With the Costco hot dog, though? True. Did I do this right? I hope I did this right. Country hamsters will make do, though. Let's see, okay. I know where to go from here. Made a friend on the app I sell on. She's always asking when I'm getting my next Uma shipment in. It's very fun. Oh, that is fun. I'm glad you're making friends on there. That seems like a really unlikely place to make friends, but that's kind of adorable. That's kind of the fun of it. I'm trying to think of other places where I've like gotten unlikely friends. Do not want the Yakuza coming after you? I'll hold them off, don't worry. You don't gotta worry about that. I'll put them in their place. HamCam, that's right. Chat, when I went to physical therapy last week, my physical therapist doctor, she lifted the weights on everything I was doing with my legs. And I felt pretty awesome, if we're being so real. Hold on, I gotta fix this. Something about it is weird. Thank you for the head pats! I might get lucky. This week I find out if I have to schedule more physical therapy or not. Because it'll be my 6th week. And I was only supposed to go for 6 weeks, but, you know, it's been a long time since everything got weird. Orange, I got you. One moment, please. There, perfect. He's extra big today. Good luck, Hammie. We are rooting for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel it. I gotta get better so I can stream lots of games and have fun with Ham Nation. Oh boy, this one's being kind of stubborn. Do you have that one series where you can't get in the game but love the world and characters? Do I have that? I don't know if I have that. I'm gonna have to take some time to think about that, I think. I guess, like, I stopped playing Fate Grand Order a while back, but I still love the new characters that come out. Does that maybe count? Me and Crow sharing the same brain cell. Whoops, I broke it. I can fix it though. See my new bi-weekly Uma Roblox outfit? Sure. I can't bring it up on the screen right now because it's a little difficult. My desk is all messy, but if you post it somewhere, I'll go look. Wish Fate Grand Order was fun. You and like half of chat tonight, it sounds like. I know. Oh, like I love games. Obviously, but it's really hard to find time for them, and if I don't play them on stream, it's even more difficult to find time to play them, you know? Like, I used to not really beat that many games. In a year, and I beat a lot more now than I used to. Oh, no, you're okay. It was just something fun to think about. Oh my goodness. I can't get this guy to go in here. I guess I would also say that about Honkai. I like played that sponsorship for Honkai Star Rail back when I first started streaming, and I burnt myself out so bad. But I still think adventuring in Dr. Ratio should make out, and that'd be pretty cool. No one can tell me no and make me feel bad for it. Oh, I really like Super Mario Sunshine. I want to play it sometime. I haven't beaten it either, but I'm not opposed to beating it. Or playing it on stream and beating it. There we go. My goodness, this is so much more difficult than We need 2 of these 1-2 pieces. There's 1, and there's 1. I thought there was... Yeah, there you are. I think I messed it up again. Hold on a second, okay? I'm going to take these off really quick. Oh, I know what happened, I think. Yeah. Oh no, I'm scared. Did I say something incriminating? There we go. Now I know what's going on. I don't know what y'all are gonna cancel me for. But I guess we had a nice run, didn't we? We had a really nice run. Your blocks look like tasty little licorice pieces. They kind of do, don't they? I kind of like them. When I was little, I used to eat Legos. Hammie, why? Because I was curious. You never ate something as a child that you probably shouldn't have? I bet they're still in my digestive system. Probably not, actually, but... would be kind of interesting to find out, though. Like, I know some kids eat Play-Doh and said it was really salty. I ate Legos one time. Reminds me of the story of the kid that got so mad he lost at Pokemon he ate the batteries of his cable. That's metal as hell. Was he okay? Maybe don't answer that, actually. You ate a nickel? See? We all do embarrassing shit when we're a kid. Many things I should not have as a child. Ate little bits of raw ground beef when I cooked. Wait, you do that as an adult or as a kid? Who has tasted the Switch cartridge? I wanted to, I really did, but I never did do it. No comment? It's okay, it's okay. You wanna look at him so far? His chin? No, that's really funny though. I was always curious, but I never did do it. Never did do it. Uh-oh. No, I ran out of VOD space? Hold on, just a sec. I ran out of VOD space. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Chat, I need to remember to clear out my hard drive tomorrow, okay? I have to remember to do that. Not the incident. Thank you for the shrimp check. I'm unshrimping as we speak. Tomorrow, that's my job. Super manager, don't let me forget. Let me take some water. I got my smart water here. 2 big sips. Let's see. So we got... Amy has too many white-haired boy pictures. Probably. I do like my white-haired anime boys. How do these go? We need a 3-piecer. 3-piecer. But this seems wrong. I don't think these are supposed to go here, actually. Could it be there's a printing error? Probably not. I probably did something wrong, but if we don't make it obvious, then if there's a mistake, it won't be the end of the world. Too many corked up white boy pictures. Yeah, it's true. I got a few Konami Dates on there. Unfortunate. Duolingo. Isn't he getting an anime? So foolish. We need another 3-piecer. Hammie, I got a call from the president of the world. If you make a mistake, the world will end. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. We had a good run, though. Call your parents and tell them you love them, okay? Because I'm about to fuck it up. Oh no, that sounds like an absolute disaster. That's kind of hilarious. Call me Hamela the way I'm about to fuck it up. Dang. I'm sorry that the world might end before you get your Puyo ham. What are some personal examples of overhyped series for you? I'm thinking. Sword Art Online. Attack on Titan. The Simpsons. Class of '09. Class of '09 had a few like shock funny moments, but I kind of agree. It wasn't really for me at the end of the day. Which sucked because they really had me hook, line, and sinker for a minute with the whole like early 2010s like nostalgic shit, you know? That's kind of my jam a little bit, but you know, I don't know, it tried way too hard to be like offensive, I feel like. It tried to pull off what South Park can pull off, if that makes sense, you know? Yeah, the worst parts of high school, I could definitely see that. Oh no. Why does this sound like Elle's theme? Hi bestie! Hello Kai! Welcome, welcome! I am winning! You wanna see my vampire so far? Look at him! He's kind of fun, isn't he? Things that I think are overrated. And like, just because I think something's overrated, by the way, chat, doesn't diminish if you like these things, you know? Devil ham. Let's see, so we need some of these slanted things. Something can be bad and underrated? Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna just make these. I think there is ears. Little pointed ears. I'm trying to think, is there stuff that I won't touch? I won't touch K-pop Demon Hunter because I'm so tired of hearing about it. But I do think it's really funny that the soundtrack is fighting for is fighting for supremacy with Taylor Swift. I think that's really funny. So I stopped hiding K-pop Demon Hunter on Spotify just because I thought it would be really funny. I'm having trouble getting this guy to fit in. I know! I'm just like, yeah, I used to really like Taylor Swift, but now it's kind of just like, I want to see her like lose to K-pop Demon Hunters. I think it'd be really funny. But that's just me. If you like it, kudos to you. I'm just really tired of hearing about it. Taylor loses that top spot. She will simply release the ultra deluxe version, Taylor's version. True. Kai would be a really good person to read books. Like not like a, well, I mean like a podcast, or like reading a book. What's it called? Audiobook? I think Bestie Kai would be really good at that. I like listening to him talk. This is a Kai appreciation stream now. I've been bugged. Oh no. Oh my goodness, I cannot get this to stubborn. There we go. There we go. I fixed it. You go here. Yes. There's a house near me that does crazy elaborate Halloween decorations every year based on different movie shows, and this year they're doing K-pop Demon Hunters. That's crazy. I love it when I'm really sad because of my leg situation that I couldn't go hard on my house this year. I just didn't even decorate this year, and I feel a little sad about that. I feel really sad about that, but maybe next year. Maybe next year. My Oniham goes really, really hard for Halloween every year, and I feel like I let him down a little bit, but he wouldn't know. He wouldn't know. Thank you for the head pats. I'm really sad too because I got so many new decorations right after Halloween last year. All coming over to get on Hammie's roof to help decorate, then fall off. He does go ham. He does go ham. T-Sol Z, hello. I hope you had a safe trip home. I am currently trying to figure out where I'm at here. It's starting to get a little complicated. What the hell? Let's see. How do I go about this? Am I making the eyes now? I think I'm making the eyes. Random tangent. I am currently in a meeting and I went, thanks, Ham. Oh no! My goodness. So we need the clear red now. And we need some of these guys. I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do these little pieces, but we gotta do it. And we'll be better for it, chat. We'll be better for it if we just do it. Devoured half a pizza after not having a proper meal, and it's probably the best and worst decision I could have made. Does it leave you rotating? Because balance is sometimes necessary. Oh my god, stop it. Manager at work is 60 and I'm so horrifically afraid of calling her mom. You should do it anyway. Do it for the bit. Tell her it's for a bit. There we go. I got it. I hated it, but we got it, chat. So, from here, we gotta do this. Maybe, yeah. Feel like when you eat the exact right amount of pizza, it's the best feeling in the world. Yeah, it kind of is. I haven't had pizza in a while. I've been wanting to try making my own pizza, but I haven't really gotten around to it. Bye, bestie. Thanks for coming by. Have a good day. As always, I'm cheering for you. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Where do you go? Where do you go? Oh, he's really cute. He's really cute, chat. I like how he's coming along. He's so funny. Homemade pizza never hits the same. I don't know, it just sounds fun. I used to work at a pizza place, so it's like, I think if anybody can make homemade pizza, I think I might be a little bit qualified to do that. You know? Let's see. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. And then we don't have to do it again. At least not for a bit. Do you scoop the pizza from the brick oven in one motion? So we had automated ovens where like you'd put the pizzas in on one side and it would just slowly roll to the other side, and by the time you got to the other side, the pizza would be done. Sometimes people would request that you pull it out early, so then you would push it forward a tiny bit, or just like when you put it in, just like slide it. Yeah, get me? So I'll hop on Penguin Hammie will leave us in the dust on the pizza minigame. Trust, you got it. Where's that other? There it is. We should play more cool math games soon. I had a lot of fun doing that, actually. Should have a conveyor belt restaurant that's all just pizza slices. Yeah, like, Zaita and Sushi. And then instead, it's just pizza on the little plates. And then sometimes you'll get a little pizza roll. Should be a cool math game alternative called Lame Science Games. That is a banger idea. Chat, what if we all pitched in and opened a restaurant that's conveyor belt pizza? Look at his face, he's so cute. I love him so much. Is this my buddy Eric? Because I also considered naming him Frank. We got a nose. So we need a 3-piecer. Cece's Pizza? Cece's Pizza is like a buffet. They don't have a conveyor belt. Unless some of them do it, I just don't know it. One of the towns I've lived in, used to have almost every city I've lived in has had a CC's at one point, but, the one that happened in one of the towns I've lived in has been kind of crazy. But I probably shouldn't talk about it too much. Wait, hold on. I can't figure this out. Is it this one? No. This one, there it is. God, looks like he's been zombified. He does! Silly Cloud. tonight. Tomorrow we're gonna play games with K-chan. We're gonna play, we're gonna go to the, you know, the pumpkin festival. Hi, K-chan. I hope you had a wonderful stream. How you doing? Hi, Raiders. If you guys need to take a break or anything, go grab dinner. Or you need to go grab some water because it's been 1,000,000 hours since you last hydrated. Please take care of yourselves. But Kei-chan, thank you as always for trusting me with your community. Tonight I'm building this cute little vampire. This is what he looks like right now. This is what he's going to look like. I promise I can be trusted in the pumpkin patch. Yeah. I always hide behind Kei-chan in collabs. I'm guilty of it. Kei-chan has a calming presence. More work in your house, air fryer or the rice cooker? Probably the rice cooker. But honestly, aside from those, the Instant Pot does a lot of heavy lifting. Oh no, his eye fell down. I gotta fix it. I gotta fix it. Oh no. Ah, shit. Grab dinner real quick and board up the windows for the storm coming. Oh my goodness, please be safe, Kei-chan. Thank you. You keep being epic. Yeah, you keep being epic. Let's see if we can't fix him. We're doing surgery on a vampire. It's being really stubborn. Oh, he's so stubborn. I think I fixed it though. I gotta put his tooth back in though. Poor buddy. Life is so hard. Oh my goodness. Okay, I gotta get his nose. I gotta take it off for a second. Oh my goodness. I threw that one at myself. Where did it go? Everything is a disaster forever. Perpetual state of doing our best and all that, actually. There we go. Now he can put his schnoz back on. There you go, buddy. Now you can smell things again. He's so cute, so handsome. I like him so much, chat. Now I gotta make his hair. I like the blue too. He's fun. I'm gonna name him Eric. Let's see. Okay, so it's time to break out these sixers again. I think we're making his hat now, chat. Maybe? I think this is right. Oh, Hamu, did you see they're adding 12 new characters to No I'm Not Human based on their earliest Kickstarter backers? If only we have known, we could have had Hammie in the game for reals. That would have been amazing. I did not know that though. I'm really excited. I didn't know there was a Kickstarter. That game's so good. We should do another run of it soon. My god, this music's so scary. a T-piece. Wait, hold on. I think I'm gonna take these off and redo it. No, I'm not a hamster. Yes, I am a hamster. Ooh, this feels not right, actually. Yeah, we didn't do that right, actually. Hold on. Silly Hammie. You're a hamster? I am a hamster, actually. Oh my goodness, these two will not come apart. Crazy, I know, right? There we go. An ostrich? That's your problem, not mine. If you got ostrich from this. Try you again. And then we got... We gotta put you here. Oh my goodness. Wahoo! Wahoo! Oh, whoops. This one does not want to settle in. That's because they're a little uneven. Ugh, this one does not want to cooperate. Let's try breaking it down a tiny bit. No, that didn't work at all. I think I fixed it. We're double checking though. I wonder. I think I gotta swap these out with something different. Because this seems wrong. Sorry, chat. Give me a quick moment here. Oh wait, I know what I'm doing. Nope, I have no idea what I'm doing. Except for my best. Oh, these are so... I think I gotta use these instead. Is there one like this I can use? Sorry, chat. Give me a quick sec here. We're trying to figure it out. I'm a little stumped. Now loading, that's me. I'm loading. Oops. Man, I wonder though. Cause the problem I'm having is these front pieces of his face aren't lining up the way they should. So I gotta figure out what is wrong here. Maybe I fixed it just by moving these up a tiny bit. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just a hamster. Corgi Torpedo? Oh, he's ready to jump at any moment. Skeleton's gonna be at TwitchCon. Oh my goodness, I'm about to go crazy. Stop it. Yeah, that definitely fixed it, but now I just gotta struggle to get this tooth back in. I think I might have gotten it though, chat. We did rebuild, we did it! There we go. Better. Okay, so now we're making his top hat. And we gotta straighten this out. And we need a 3-piecer? Yeah, 3-piecer. Sorry, I'm itchy. One of his teethers is kind of loose. It's so hard to be a vampire. Do you think they have good dental? I'd hope so. They'd probably have vampire-specific dentists. Because they gotta work in the nighttime. Unless they have a really good parasol. Oh god. I keep throwing pieces at myself. Hold on just a second. I don't know if I can... Where did it go? There it went. Where the hell did this go? I'm honestly about to put on some rock. I'm getting sleepy. Uh-oh. Not great, but... I can't believe I messed that up. We worked so hard on it. Remember when I was feeling ambitious and I was like, yeah, we'll definitely build another thing tonight. And then we didn't. Because this took forever. Hammy got this. Break out the energy drinks. I have a Red Bull in the fridge. I don't know if that's a good idea at 9 p.m. though. Brother built Rayquaza Nanoblocks. He went, this'll be quick. It was not. I always do that. I always do that. The Rayquaza one looks Rayquaza. I forgot. The movie taught me that I was saying it wrong the whole time. Rayquaza. That one would be kind of tough, but I bet it was really satisfying. Oh no, did I do it again? Please tell me I didn't do it again. It's cool when it was done, but it was bad building it because his snake body just collapsing every chance it gets. That's kind of the issue I keep having with the face here. He snuggles up close a lot. It's very sweet. Mr. Bark likes sitting on my sitting on the base of my chair. A good boy. Oh, thank Christ, I got it. I got it. Okay, okay. He has a receding hat line. Now take it apart and redo it? I'll cry. You don't want me to cry, do you? I guess. Oh, the neighbor dog's going crazy town. I don't think think this will get me in trouble, but we're not gonna fuck with it. As much as I love myself a theme of Halloween. Oh, Mr. Bark, you're so little. Does he know? So close. His hat. Oh, this one's pretty straightforward. Quite excited about that. So... Wait, no, I did it wrong. I think I did it wrong. That's not fun at all. I don't think I did it wrong. Yeah, I kind of did it wrong. Did I have to do it like this, maybe? Oh, God. Ah! I think it's this. I think it's this. I think we got it figured out finally. And we'll probably have to take it apart again. But... oh, this is... Hammie, are you excited for ZA? I am. I am. You know, we're gonna... I think I'm just gonna play emo music. You guys wanna listen to emo music? I'll turn it down a little bit though, because it's gonna be louder music. Yeah, I'm super stoked. I'm really excited. I have to go out to eat with my friend. Well, I don't have to, but I'm going out to eat with my friends ahead of time. So I'll be doing a later stream that night when it comes out, but... oh boy. Planning on getting Switch too, but FF Magic made me poor. Oh no. I understand though. It's kind of expensive, isn't it? Oh no. I did it again. You excited for Wednesday? What's Wednesday? Oh, collab! Wednesday's tomorrow. This is so annoying. I want to be so real. I don't have anyone to impress. So I'm gonna complain about it. Oh my god, this hat's falling apart! I'm gonna scream, but I'm not. I've never played Rune Factory. I've always wanted to, though. It's like Harvest Moon a tiny bit, like old school Harvest Moon. Oh my god! It broke again! Okay. 5th time's the charm? Yeah. I think we'll fix it. We will rebuild. Similar to Fire Emblem for a second. Yeah, I guess I don't really know a whole lot more than that. I just know that my friend told me I would probably really enjoy it because it's a lot like Harvest Moon. And kind of like Minecraft a little bit. But I haven't played it personally. And I usually don't really have a preference in like ship types when I play a game. Where are you? There you are. No, I keep accidentally, Mr. Bark, don't lick your Pete's. I accidentally keep breaking off. It's really easy to break off the hat because it's just one layer. So I keep going to fix the hat and then eventually the face also kind of falls apart. It's really frustrating. See, like, I'm trying to fix this part of the face now, and it's, like, caving in a little bit. Yeah. Ugh. Oh my god, I'm so stressed out. Thank you for the shrimp check and the hydration check. I'm gonna move my water over here, I think. I'm also low-key a little stumped. Can I like put you here actually? I think that might have fixed it. Wait, I get it now. I get it. I think I fixed it. It's a little wonky, but I bet we can get it. Thank you! Oh my god. Oh, it's being really stubborn is the only thing. Oh man, chat, this song is phenomenal live. Legend says one day a hamster will rise who gets it. Oh no. I just fucked it all up, chat. I just fucked it all up. It's okay. It's okay. Oh my god. I'm gonna scream? Okay. Oh, fucking finally something popped into place. Okay. We did it. We did it. We did it! Oh my god, that was a nightmare, actually. Okay, now I can move on to the next step. Oh my goodness. Of course, it's gonna be kind of smooth sailing at this point, I think. Rearrange the bones of my victims? What did you do to them? Oh, hell yeah. So we need 2 of these T-pieces. There we go. T-pieces. I can feel my eyes are so red. Thought Hammie was stretching for a second. I need to stretch. I'm kind of overdue. I love this song. Maybe something will pop again? Maybe. I did do a big stretch just now, though. Almost done with his hat. Is this another? No. 3-piecer. I need another 3-piece. There you are. I gotta make his cape now. We're only about halfway done and I've been going at this for 2.5 hours. That's okay, that's okay. I guess we're a little bit more than halfway done. Look at him. Maybe like 2/3? A little over half? I'm not raging, I'm not crashing out. We need a 6er. 6T. We're gonna need the thingy again. Are you finishing it today or are you chill about it? I'm definitely chill about it. We'll keep going. I'm gonna finish it tonight for sure. If I put it down and pick it up later, I will never figure it out. I'll get so confused. Can't leave it unfinished. Let's see. So I need a T. Mayor of Chilltown? That doesn't sound very chill. What the hell do you want from me? Doggy loaf. You guys want to see it up close? Oh. He's like, nope. I should probably not play this song without a content warning. That's okay. We got four. Four. That was a lie. What all true warriors strive for. 3. I keep thinking I'm about to lean straight into my camera and it'll be really embarrassing. Oh, this part's gonna suck actually. I'm doing it again. I was behind my model this entire time. Zeroed in, shrimped over. So now we need the 4-piecer. Died of trying. I wish you. I shouldn't. We could take a break. Ready to call out cute jammies? My TVs are very cute. Keep doing homework or quit while I'm ahead? I mean, if you are ahead, you don't have to rush. You could take a break. What are you? Have a Kit Kat? Take a break. You're not yourself when you're hungry. Oh, fuck yeah. Super break. Finish this vampire for me, super manager. I don't want to. Come on. Wish I was that powerful. I heard quit. Oh no. Orgy song? Excuse me? Also, ad comes in like 30 seconds. Sorry for the delayed, the delay in letting you guys know. So be strong, ad gain. Damn sure. I just want to break you down so badly. Ram Ranch? No, there's that. Oh, is it? In the showers at Ram Ranch? That dude got arrested for having sex with his cousin, didn't he? I haven't heard that in a hot minute. I like that Ref showed up with the knowledge. Oh, what is it? Oh. I want to pull it up, but I really shouldn't. I really shouldn't. It's like five naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Ram Ranch, it really rocks. Oh my god, that was English. That's the last thing Ad Gain hears before they get purged. This song tells you all about what's happening there. That's crazy. This one. 18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch. Ram Ranch, it really rocks. God damn it, that wasn't what was supposed to go there at all. There we go. I need one of you. Did he? That guy lives a wild life. First he has sex with his cousin. Well, maybe that happened afterwards. He gets expelled for that song, and then he gets caught having sex with his cousin. I'd say look it up, but maybe don't, actually. Maybe don't. Some knowledge is not meant to be known. It's true, though. Is this the last one of you assholes? Thank Christ. No, that whole thing is a mess. Which, like, if there's anything that's gonna be a mess, I guess the 18 naked cowboys in the showers at Ram Ranch guy is probably gonna be a little bit messy. Oh my god, this is so confusing. Oh, turn it over, okay. I guess we don't have to use this anymore. I think this is right. 3-piecer. Three-piecer again. Oh my god. Wait, hold on. Am I doing this right? I don't think I'm doing this right. Wait, actually, I think we are right. I think we are right. So we need to do this. We need to do this. Can we expect Ram Ranch at the next karaoke stream? You are more likely to get me karaoke in Bloodhound Gang than you are Ram Ranch, I think. Is there even a karaoke version of that song? Absolutely not. Oh, doing this upside down is the cheeks. So is that a yes? No! It's a no! Bloodhound game is confirmed. No, I didn't say that. I just said you're more likely to get that. Oh my god. Where the hell are you? Okay, there we go. We need a 3-piecer. We need a 3-piecer. We need another 3-piecer. Guys, what if I did from my 2.0 reveal? What if we did the karaoke then? What if we did karaoke then? Do you guys want to do karaoke? I never know. I never know if it's like, oh, do you guys want that? Oh my god, it won't flip over. I'm going to play League of Legends. That could be fun. Why is this so difficult? I'm gonna have a conniption. Fuck's your problem? Right? Kissy, if you haven't listened to the newest Mayday Parade album, it's really good. So good. Wanna hang out with Hammie and doing what she wants to do? Aww. That makes me happy. We'll do fun stuff. I'm kind of sad because I didn't accomplish as many scary things as I wanted to this month, and it's already flying by. I'm trying not to beat myself up, though. Look at him! Almost done! Sick of all these streams full of joy and whimsy? When is Hammie gonna do boring and lame stuff? You want me to? We could do paperwork. You wanna file my taxes with me? No more silliness? Wow, excuse me for assuming you guys wanted a little joy and whimsy. Sheesh. Oh my god, I don't want to make the legs! It never ends! This house is a nightmare! Okay, okay. What if I made the bat instead? What if I made the bat really quick? I need something easy. I need something easy. Yaoi sunset. What if we said dream a yaoi sunset? Hammie fixes a pipe. I've got a pipe I need to fix. We don't even joke about that. Hammie needs to become one of those streamers that only plays top trending games, is deathly serious all the time. I don't know if I have the capacity to lock in like that. I love the little bat. We're gonna make the little bat now. I fucking love bats. Wait, how's it go? I love bats. I fucking love Halloween. Always dream a yaoi sunset. That's us. That's us. Yaoi sunset. Why are we all together on making Hammie stream worse? I want to know too. What you guys want from me, actually. If it's yaoi sunset, is a Yuri sunrise? Yeah. Kind of like how some people gender the moon and the sun. I think Yuri is the sun. And Yaoi is the moon. Bad. Wait, was I supposed to? Yeah, I was. He's so cute. Look at him with his little bat. I think I messed something up. I think I might have messed something up. I'm gonna fix it myself. He has a top hat, not a fedora. You show him some respect. It's not a fedora. I had a fedora when I was in middle school. It was my brother's. I stole it on eHam. I'm gonna fix it myself. I only wore it once, but I didn't wear it in public. I like stole it. Wahoo! Hi, Mr. Bark. Are you getting comfy over there? There we go. That looks better. Let's make the stupid legs, shall we? One of the groups of indigenous people of my country believed that the moon was a woman that tricked the sun by dressing up as a demon, and the sun found out it started chasing after her. Oh! I see, I see. Okay. We're making feet now. Oh, my shoulders kind of hurt. Mr. Bark, are you cozy comfy and no one can see it? Yippee! Oh! 18 months! The longest parasocial relationship you've had! Well, I'm glad I could be your first. Wait, not first. Longest. That's right. Hello, Super Malice. IRL, I can't break 6 months. I understand. I'm confused. I'm so fucking confused. How's Amina's cousin going? He's going pretty good. He's pretty handsome. I have to make his leg now. Do any push-ups for your shoulders? Absolutely not. I slept on my neck on the other day. And, that was an issue. Apparently. The hell am I supposed to do here? Hamela fosters a parasocial relationship, or parasocial community, and forces our viewers to adore an entity known as Mr. Bart. This is all a Harvard test. Thanks for participating, chat. The fuck am I supposed to do? Wait, hold on. It had it like this. It had it like this, kind of. Like in the middle. That seems wrong. That seems incorrect. Google interview question. I'm so confused. What if we just raw dog it? You're so close! You'll get enough when we raid out. I think I know what to do. I think now I gotta do this. That was a lie. Angry Puyo? What are you gonna ask for when you get your munchies? I could be the biggest asshole and raise the price right now, but I'm not gonna do that because I'm cool like that. This is kind of fun. He's gonna give me the old razzle dazzle. I'm just gonna make the other foot really quick. Dream's gone in an instant. No, I wouldn't do that. I'll joke about it, but I won't do it. I'd feel bad for everybody who like, you'll find out in a minute. Okay, if you say so. 'Cause I'm say so. Oh, thank God. I got worried for a minute. Got worried for a minute. It'd be the funniest thing. There we go. Ask Mina if any given vampire has a chance of being related to her, and she just says no. Well, you heard her. That's really funny. Say so is Hamster around. Do you think so? You think so, chat? Why does this look like that? It was very blunt and made me laugh. That's pretty funny. I'm pretty say so, you think? I'm not sus. What are you talking about? I'm not sus at one bit. Let's see. So, we do this. Feels like we're little kids trying to avoid saying but. Nah, never. both get carried away. There we go. You got it! Good job, Angry Seal! Now you have to tell me what you want. Unless you want me to Discord DM you. No, just say it. Red, round glasses, and a black necktie. Okay. Someone screen cap that for me. Super Manager, well, you got that if you don't... Wait, you're probably getting ready for bed. I'll try and remember... Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm afraid I'll forget. Sometimes I have to watch a little cousin, but I don't want to miss your stream, so I'm like, maybe I could just openly watch Hamela. And TBH, you're fine 95% of the time, but the other 5% might get me in trouble for showing me them. I mean, you let me know if that ever happens. If you need me to tone it down, I don't mind. That's really funny, though. You can let me know. Just be like, Hammie, tone it down a little, okay? Cousin's watching. And I'll be like, yes, Malice Senpai. I need one more of these, but I'm missing one. I'm missing it. Shit! Could make it out of 2 of these, maybe. I'll just do that. It should be okay, right? Oh, frick. We might not have what we need. Wait, I got this. Only drop one F-bomb? Yeah, I used to test myself to see if I could only drop it 3 times a stream, because that's technically still PG-13. Wait, is it 3? Until you get out of the PG-13 rating? Oh god. It's gonna be another one of these. It's not horrible. She looks disappointed. What's going on? Oh no, the hat broke again. No, please, I'm begging you. Okay, I think he's done. I think he's done. Depends on which one. I think something's wrong with him. I think something's wrong with him. Cause it's like, he has no hip. You mean I'm very handsome, you think so? I'm worried I let him down. I wanna try and flesh him out a little bit. Hi, Rodin! Welcome, welcome. Oh god. This is such a good song. Especially this cover. Oh fuck. I'm making him better, chat. He is kind of scuffed, but he's my little scuffling. Okay, that's a little bit better, right? That's a little bit better. I like him. Oh god, he does not want to stand. I don't know how to display him. That's really funny. Oh wait, I know. I'll make his legs a little bit more wide out. I can lean him against something. This is the better version, if you're asking me. I don't really like the original. Not a big fan of it, but I like this version. But I also just really love Mayday Parade. They're one of my favorites. Well, that was a disaster, but we did finish. We did finish him. It's too slow for me. It's too slow for me. I have nothing against it. It's just too slow for me. It's hard to sing along with. Now, when they make it a funky pop club remix, hell yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm so over that. I'm so over that, chat. I'm so over it. He's kind of wobbly, but I like him. Shall we play some Rika Furude Simulator really quick? I do not. I've got to sneeze. I'll be right back, okay? I really should see if I can... I could probably draw it myself, but maybe I should just throw some money at C Kissy or another artist to do it for me. I want it really bad. I think it would be really good. Sorry, I'm also cleaning up my desk really fast and... Oh, I didn't open my Pokemon cards, chat. Hamela G. Employ the sea cozy. I do fairly often, actually. Should I open my Pokemon card packs and then we'll Rika Furude Simulator, or should I open my packs if we have a good run of Rika Furude Simulator? I'm just gonna open them. I'm just gonna open them really quick. I got myself 2 packs here. This is true. Hammie keeps me fed and therapized. I need to show Malice my DS. That's true, I do. I do need to do that. Yeah, 2022. Let's see what we get. Ooh, a Dusk Noir, Phantom, Poltergeist. Do you guys want to see? My scuffed up thumbnails, damn it. No, they look nice. I like them. They're so cheap. Like, there's not really any heavy hitters in this set, but it fills the void whenever I'm like, ooh, I need a pack of cards to open. Gorgeist, Lampent, and Naked. Cute. Anyway, I'm gonna go grab that DS really quick. I'll be right back. I'll probably switch over to just chatting really fast too, so give me a quick sec to update my shit. And I'm gonna run an ad while I do that. I'll run an ad and I'll be right back. Oh, woof. I'm back. Welcome back, me. Not much to do but sit around and do nothing. La 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 la. Original model? Yeah, no. Look, this is what Kai Bestie sent me from Japan. It's got a little... It's a happy face. It's so cute. And I put all the washi tape he sent with his gifts to seal stuff. I put it on the back. And then on the inside he gave me this game. I have no idea what it is. I'm trying to get it. Yeah, she's thick. But I like it. And then there's also Phoenix Wright in the Game Boy Advance slot. I don't know if I have it charged, but it just Phoenix Wright 2. Ace Attorney 2. Mr. Bark? Hey, calm down, buddy. Mr. Bark. Yeah, he didn't like that. And then it has a little blemish in the screen. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I love it. I love it. So yeah, that's the gift Kai got me. What's he doing with all that butt? He has the very pronounced butt crack right now, and that's my favorite. Good night, Super Manager. Thank you. Oh, Etrian Odyssey? It's Etrian Odyssey. I think it's in 2. Yeah, 2. It looks really cute. I've never played it, though. Anyway. Onere. Rika Furude Simulator 2025. Bozos. That felt mean. I didn't want to say that, actually. I also miss the Game Boy Advance and DS era. I remember having so much fun playing the stupid little Metroid Prime demo disc thing for the 3DS because we couldn't afford any games right away. But then I got Nintendogs. Aw, me and Street Pass. I loved Street Pass. We do love the DS here. We respect and love the 3DS and the DS. PictoChat Gaming. Game Boy Advance and DS is not retro. No, never. Play game. Wait, why is she wearing that? Click to roll? Oh no. I feel like this would make a horrible drinking game. Ugh. Will we defy fate? Can we defy fate tonight? Retro, you mean like the PS4 and Xbox One? The Switch is still pretty new, right? Oh. I think I'm supposed to get all ones. I think that's what I'm supposed to do just to transverse fate. Traverse fate. Words. Is she okay? No. We have 4 tragic fates lined up already. Oh, you want a Nipa? Nipa! Oh. You want a Sega Genesis? I had a Sega Genesis too! Me and Oniham played so much. We played so much, Sonic 2 on that Genesis, and then I had the really scary Aladdin game. Why were all the old school Disney games so scary? Nope. I like how it just like kind of squishes her. That's unfortunate. She's so happy and then you blunder it. Nipa! You don't like how it squishes her? Me neither, so we gotta defy fate. Do you think we'll defy fate tonight, chat? Let's go to 30. Let's go to 30 and then we'll raid into someone. well, actually, what if we kept going? Oh wait, hold on, I can pat her? I pat her. Streamed it for 100 fucking hours? Oh god. Well, defy fate, chat, I swear, I swear. Faito nano desu. Whoa, did Mr. Bark just glitch out of reality? +100 hours? You guys couldn't get that out of me for Pokemon Snap. I want to play Pokemon Snap. What if I play Pokemon Snap next month? Hey, pre-brain, Mr. Bark, want to teleport? Oh, we were so close there. Maybe we don't defy fate tonight. We'll go to 30. We'll go to 30. And then give up, because that's what we do. We're too tired. We're too old for this. Let's let fate defy us instead, chat. Hammy, without absolutely any prompting. What if I replayed Pokemon Snap? What if I replayed Pokemon Snap for the 3rd time? I told myself I'd only let myself do it once a year, but I'm pretty autistic. I'm pretty autistic. Good night, Super Manager. What if you did? What if I did? That's what I'm saying. Umurangi Generation? I don't know. I don't know what game it is. I'll have to look it up. Oh, Mr. Bart's playing with his toy. I guess I should go for... I could go for a couple more rounds of Rika Furude Simulator. Ooh, a game where you take pictures? That sounds exactly up my alley. I love a good picture sim. There's also the game that Crow tagged me in the Discord, and I want to play that one too. What if I don't remember you playing? Maybe you need to refresh your memory? I always play it for my birthday. Because it's my favorite game. So I'll play it, maybe I'll play it again soon. We'll do Pokemon Snap, and we'll do, maybe we'll do Pokemon Pinball on the same night too. What if we go to 50? What if we go to 50? We won't defy, maybe we won't defy fate tonight, but we're doing our best, and does that count for something? Me? Oh no. Whatever you do, don't go to Vegas. I had a really... Oh, Mr. Bark is investigating you, chat. Mr. Bark, what do you think about them, huh? I had a dream that I gambled my life away, so, I'm scared to do real life gambling. I had that dream in high school, I think. What if they made a game with absurdly low odds, but you don't have to put up any stakes? Kind of like this, except I'm not the one getting squished, so I don't really have a lot of high stakes here, but Rika sure gets squished. I'm locking in, chat. I'm locking in. Actually, I think I might just be falling asleep with my eyes open. Yeah! Umineko and Higurashi both have such good music. I was so stoked when Dai and Zaki were in Silent Hill F too. So good, so good. Nothing to lock into. I know, just like, you know what? Don't fall asleep with my eyes open. It's not too hard, right? Not impossible. We're not gonna defy fate tonight. No, we're not. We're not. We're not. I'm sorry, Rika. This is a no Nipa zone. There we go. I have no hope. It only took me 50 tries. We could make it 60. We could make it 60 for the bit. I don't know what bit. I don't know what bit, but I think I know this one. Oh yeah. Wait, where's the fish? Shit, hold on. There we go. Ryukishi drew the ending card for the second episode of the Mermaid Cannibalism Yuri. I saw that because I got really excited because he also drew seals. He also drew seals in it and I freaked out so hard. It was very good. I like the Ryukishi seals a lot. Oh, you got a Puyo ham! Good job! Chat, nothing to Nipa about. Ugu. We can Ugu. We can, that's right. We'll always Ugu. Let's go for 500 rolls tonight? Absolutely not. What if we got to 100? What if we got to 100? We could get to 100. I don't want to go to 100. If this isn't the one, then I suffer the same fate as Rika. Oh no! Another green Puyo ham! Very nice, very nice. Doomed to repeat history. Be freed from lemur. What if I get to 70? Mr. Bark looks so comfy, cozy. Let me see if I can get him in the... There you go. He's so eepy-deepy. 75. 75. 73. Come on. Damn it. 74. 51,000 rolls for 51 gifted? No, I'm not that desperate. 75, come on. Woo! I'm tired. Let's go to bed. That was fun, wasn't it? That was fun. We sure had a great time tonight, chat. We built a vampire. He's kind of scuffed, but I like him and that's what matters. And then we tried to defy fate 75 times. Tonight, we weren't able to defy fate, but that doesn't mean that another day we might not be able to. I was worried you were just gonna keep going for another 30 minutes. I line up for my goodnight forehead kiss. Mwah! I give it to you. Oyasu Hammy, Thank you, thank you. Let me go ahead and find some Hammie to read into, yeah? Nipa! We could do that for a raid message. We could all Nipa. Who do we want to raid into? Who do we want to raid into? Oh, we could raid into, Draggy Lee. That's one of my collab mates for tomorrow. It's my first time playing games with her, them, so why don't we go raid into them really quick? They've been going for almost 9 hours, but it looks like they're doing a, they might be doing a, marathon of sorts. So why don't we go hang out? That picture was really cute. Which one? I missed it. The collab, oh, the collab image? Thank you! I drew it in like 20 minutes. I had fun with it though. Alright, chat. We're gonna need Pa. We're gonna need Pa, okay? Stick around for your channel points and have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. We'll be going to the Pumpkin Festival together, okay, chat? So be ready. Make sure you wear comfy shoes. Accepted into the Hamster Mafia. Honorary Hamster of the evening. Alright, chat. You have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening, and thank you for hanging out with little old me. And I'll see you tomorrow. And if I don't see you tomorrow, I'll see you again soon, okay? Good night, chat. Thank you again. Good night, good night.